We are back for episode 99 of the Owl Triangle podcast, and we got it right this week, boys. We got the numbers and a lot of things messed up for the last episode 98, which I believe we called 97, but this is episode 99 of the Owl Triangle podcast, and obviously we need to get the abacus out here to counter days, to counter numbers as well. We're back, as always, with Andy Stevenson and Caoilte Barra to take you through all the latest Irish mixed martial arts news. Big episode this week. Paddy McCorry, Simon, both fighting for gold at Cage Warriors 200. Come and speak with us a little bit later on in the show. But Andy, how are you keeping? Look, I was going to say it, but I'm not. Super Bowl Sunday, all the results will be out there. I know you have some ties back to the Patriots and everything like that. What's the excitement?
Well, firstly, we'll take the blame on the mishaps with calling it an episode 97. We screwed you up definitely with last episode with the dates and not showing up or showing up a day late or whatever we were doing anyway. But yeah, Super Bowl coming up. It's a bittersweet one now. So I am a begrudging, long-suffering Dolphins fan, because I watched, so I used to work in a summer camp when I was during college, during college summers. I was over in the States, and I was over in one of my mates' apartments in New York after the fact, and he put on Hard Knocks, and it was the Dolphin season basically where Joe Philbin was the coach, and there was like this really sad story about how he'd lost, a child, and it was just really good when like they make really good TV where you get behind the team, and I'm like, these are my guys. I'm a Dolphins fan. This is going to be great. And then of course he ended up moving over to Boston, where they're all diehard Patriots fans, AFC East. And I actually loved being a Dolphins fan that year, even though the Dolphins were shite and the Patriots were like winning Super Bowls. This is 2014. But there was a lad in work called Alex Hill. He'll never hear this, but and I get on well with him. He was the most obnoxious Boston fan I've ever come across. So I was happy to be, going against them, basically. They're pretty obnoxious. They're pretty obnoxious. However, I've since married a diehard Patriots fan. Her family, my family now are diehard Patriots fans. And as much as it's probably a taboo, they are, I suppose, I don't know if I call them a second team, but I'm rooting for them in the Super Bowl, even though they're a divisional rival, even though it's probably sacrilege. Look, blood is thicker than water.
You wouldn't be going down and saying that on the streets of Miami. I'll put it to you that way. I'd
say.
Well, anyway, at this stage, it'll be all said and done. We'll find out. I'll see if he can be a little bit mystic here. I like the Pats. I think they've done fantastic to get here, but I just think the Seahawks, man, they're so good. I think Sam Darnold is on fire. Jackson Smith and Jigba. Man, yeah, it's going to be a tough one for the Pats. So if they do it, I think it's important, not to go full Super Bowl podcast here. Now, I think it's important for the Pats to get back here without Tom Brady, right? I think that's the big thing here. So
he's gone and done it already with the Buccaneers. So
he has, and look at Drake Mays, the new guy in a quarterback as well, and he's done quite well. Obviously, coming in and getting to a Super Bowl very early in his career. So I always like the Pats. I have a fondness of greatness of being a Manchester United fan. Obviously, I'm so used to greatness. Not so much over the last 10 or 15 years, but
much like the Patriots, to be fair.
Much like the Patriots too. So
like I feel like they have over delivered this season. Like they were probably on the barely getting into the playoffs, and then they've over delivered. But that is the most Patriots thing in the world. Like even back when they had Brady and they had all these great players, sometimes they were just playing a bit shit, but they found ways to win. I agree. I think the Seahawks here, like they look unstoppable, and May has had some pretty, albeit he's done great and he's been a brilliant quarterback all season. But there's little moments where there's a few chinks in the armor and he's throwing bad passes.
Had a horrible playoffs anyway.
So they've kind of got there almost partly because of him, but also in spite of him. But listen, all I know is that Michael McQuaid and the lads over at the Irish NFL show, or the whatever Irish NFL podcast I think it's called, they should really be signing us up here. Like, that is some pretty great
100%.
Some MMA heads here now. Come on.
There you go. Are you into the NFL, Caoilte? No,
not at all. Like,
I was looking at you. You never a clue. I was like, I'm just going to keep going here because I don't think there's anything.
Who is this Jigba character you speak of? Is it from a Harry Potter book or what?
Yeah, like there's probably so many people listening to this in the same boat as me, and I'm just
apologies, everybody.
I know Bad Bunny is playing the halftime show, is it? And that's about it, to be very honest. I didn't know who the two teams in the final are. No, NFL is beyond my realms of sporting knowledge at this point, really. Jesus, can't get behind. It's too slow, too stop and start.
Yeah, I don't know. I used to be that way. It's on prime time here. I do fantasy football. I'm sitting here never thinking that I would be into the NFL as much as I am now. Like, I am genuinely buzzing for the game, and I'll be tuning in and throw a few bets on as well. I have. I'll all be decided now. I have a bet on heads being the winning time.
Ooh, that's bold. Yeah. I know it's got tails now.
Well, tails. They say tails never fails, but it was tails last year. I'm thinking heads this year, and also I bet on the yellow/green Gatorade to be the winning Gatorade thrown on the coach as well. Come on, +180. Let's see if we can do it.
I love those prop bets.
Oh, that's it. That's what it's all about. But look, we have the NFL draft. We had the Irish MMA draft in the last podcast too.
Oh, Ian.
That's
the transition right there.
There you go.
You should be
There you go. We had the Irish MMA drafts on the last one. We posted out all of the teams on. Great response on it during the week. Lots of over and back. You know, Caoilte was up at the front for the votes. Andy was up there. I was up there for a spell. We ended up in a dead heat, I think. It was the final results, wasn't it? I think you posted them. It was
I put them in our little group chat. I think it was 35 apiece % for you and I, Ian, and Caoilte. Caoilte, who was winning at one stage.
I'm sorry, I got robbed here. And you boys definitely got family members to all go in and start clicking on you.
I mean,
just to take it away.
That's an Andy Stevenson move if I ever heard it.
That is outrageous. I heard 100% of the vote. Did I not post that as well?
I thought I saw it was a sponsored post under Andy's Instagram feed as well.
Advertising, please vote for my team. Well, all I know, lads, is we had. I mean, Team Stevenson's off to a phenomenal start. We had episode 97/98, Brian Manning, esteemed guest. I think every active fighter has been a Team Stevenson guest so far this year, which tells you just the caliber of my guys. Now, I didn't want to bring it up in the interview, which we'll hear later on. I thought about asking a question to try mend some fences on the team. I need some cohesion on this team. We had some shit talking from Brian Manning to Paddy McCorry, but I left it for the interview, so you won't hear any
turbulence here.
The locker room, we're going to get the locker room intact, and it's going to be going great. And we've got two more phenomenal Team Stevenson guests today, so I am having a great time.
Absolutely. We're going to have to change that up, Caoilte, big time. But let's talk about Team Stevenson member Brian Manning, who was the last pick for Team Stevenson last week.
Wait.
What are you trying to say?
I felt like that was a shot at me. Like that.
No, the last pick.
That's a bit unnecessary there.
It was Kieran Clark was my last pick. I thought it was probably one of the best picks of the whole draft. So it was the old ace in the back pocket there. I mean, Brian was, I don't, based off your actions, you're actually trying to go for Kieran and then ended up picking Brian. But look at, I'm not a consumer. I'm
actually going to pick Owen.
I know how I robbed him.
No, well, look at justified pick because he went out there at Oktagon and put on a tremendous performance. And and speaking with us on the last episode, Andy, he wanted to go out there. He wanted to make a name for himself based off the walkout, number one, and then obviously number two, and the most important thing as well is going out there and putting on that performance as well. And I think he ticked off both boxes, a memorable walkout and also a very good win against a tricky opponent in Daniel Schwint. So I think, as debuts go, it was an absolutely fantastic debut for Oktagon for Brian Manning.
Yeah, I mean, he delivered on every promise that he gave us, right, on the interview that he gave us, where he went over, he upset the apple cart as far as, he kind of shook things up in the press conference. He was getting a lot of attention there. He was loud. He was boisterous. He learned a bit of German. I don't think his pronunciation probably wasn't great because it sounds like they didn't understand it at all. But I mean, he was, as I think Brian Lacey described it right after, as advertised. He goes in, he talked to us about how he was going to have this great walkout. It got to a point where everyone was looking at it. We had the likes of, he made it to the biggest show worldwide in MMA in the Ariel Helwani show, where they're spotlighting, his walkout. It looked class. The bike, obviously, he soaked it in, and then he goes in and puts on a bit of a war, but ultimately he delivers what he says, where it's his power, it's his right hand. He promised us he was going to finish him in the first round. He did that. And then he gets on the mic. And as he said before, he's going to call out the rest of the division. And I thought it was an absolutely brilliant performance from Manning. Yeah. I thought his uppercut was looking beautiful. His jab, his right hand. Obviously, he had to, he took a few to give a few. But ultimately, I mean, it made for a very entertaining fight and an emphatic finish. And the ref, there was a lot of follow-up shots in the end. The ref possibly a little bit late, but it underlined just how emphatic the win was by putting him out cold with standing over his body, raining down punches from above.
100%. Caoilte, any kind of standout off the performance itself? Like I said, look, it's not probably the cleanest performance that he would have ever had, but I don't think Brian goes out there to kind of, outpoint somebody. He goes out there to finish someone. So sometimes you got to get into the firing line to do that. You had to take a few shots as well. But once he found his range, once he found his shots, it was massively impressive, wasn't it? And the ferocity of when you're looking at the replay and you can hear the smacks off those punches, it just really proves that he has absolutely ferocious power in both of his hands.
Yeah, the power, it's game-changing power is the way I can put it, because I was chatting to you lads as the fight was going on, I put in the group, I was like, I think he's getting out game planned here. I was proven so wrong, because I thought he struggled with the southpaw stance and I guess the patience of the opponent in the low kicks too. I thought that's the way it was going for the first round. How wrong he proved me, and that's where the power kind of comes into it, because when he started biting down the gum shield, getting a bit gritty, and then landing some absolutely massive shots and throwing heavy bombs, then he lands that one shot, drops him, and you just see the power. He proved that just how good Brian Manning is, and he's able to step up to the big shows and against good opponents and finish them. He's a man of his word. So fair play to him. He made a big name for himself in Oktagon, I think, with that finish and the walkout and everything. So really impressed by it all.
Yeah, so and for me, I just put myself in his shoes, and I know he eats up all the pressure too. I'm thinking, man, when you have such a memorable walkout like that adds a lot of pressure onto the performance as well. Imagine if he didn't, pure imagining speculation here. You go out there, it'd be a heavy cross to bear if he didn't go out and deliver the level of performance that he did after that. But those walkouts and those performances, they're going to continue for many fights in Oktagon too. I think, as we said last week, Andy, it's the perfect promotion for a guy like Brian, a guy who likes to go out there and lay it all on the line, gets a little bit adventurous with his walkouts and, showcases his personality. I think, for a big complaint with UFC and stuff like that, with uniforms and all of this kind of stuff, is we're taking personality away from fighters. And I think what Oktagon have done with Will Fleury, and now with the opportunity of Brian Manning and anyone else who will go and join with them, is that they can showcase their personality. And I think that's what's needed in mixed martial arts, isn't it?
100%. I mean, there's elements that we kind of, nitpick and complain about for good reason with certain promotions. This isn't with the intention of just spotlighting these promotions for these reasons, but it feeds into the wider point. But take Cage Warriors, for example, right? We don't see, for the most part, you don't have press conferences and you don't have post-fight interviews where, and the likes of PFL, where, like what you said about and the UFC uniformity, everything, where Cage Warriors, they allow you to have the big whatever entrance you want. Like I'm sure you could do a lot of that type of things with Cage Warriors too, as far as showcasing your personality. But you can't do that in the UFC. You can't do that in the PFL. And for a guy who's like, he's only 6-0. He's not like a worldwide superstar MMA. He's not a UFC champion. UFC champions like Israel Adesanya have to beg and plead to be able to just do a little dance on the way out. You know what I mean? Whereas you've got Brian Manning coming out in full regale, full costume, cycling a bike, and taking probably 3 times as long to get to the cage as a result than a regular walkout. I thought it was hilarious also the dichotomy or like the contrast between Brian Manning coming out so unique, so showing a personality, standing out, coming out, with this walkout, and then immediately it just cuts to many men playing for his opponent Daniel Schmidt, and I was just like, here we go again. Every fucking MMA fighter is about to get shot up in Compton, and walking out to many men. It was sickening. But I suppose they needed to get the show on the road and just get him into the cage.
100%. Fantastic performance from Brian Caoilte. Another fantastic from CMAC fighter Jordan Bradshaw over at Aries as well. I mean, he's got his Aries. We're talking about how Brian has been successful in his debut, but since Jordan Bradshaw has kind of signed up with Aries, he's been lighting a fire under his professional career so far, and he goes out and produces another great level of performance as well on their last show, getting a Sulov stretch to finish it off, but showcasing an array of striking before that finish came as well. Really wonderful performance overall from Jordan.
It really was. I think what we're beginning to see now with Jordan is all that preparation that was done in amateur, because I always think back to one specific moment with him where he had just lost against, I think it was Shane Collins at the IMAFs, and I believe Alexander Sullivan was next to him and just saying, this is all preparation for pro. This is just, that was the line. It was like, this is what's preparation for pro, because it was against a heavy wrestler, a weight class above. And now he's gone into Aries and he's been delivering performance after performance. And these aren't guys who we're typically seeing people go in against early on in their pro career. These are all quite legit fighters. He's the away fighter. He's going to France, taking on very tough competition, and he's performing every single time. With this one in particular, I think we saw like his traditional style of the kicks, and they're using those kicks very well. The variety, I think in the first 3 strikes he threw were 3 kicks into different areas of the body, and then we got to see the grappling later on, something that we did see a bit like in his last few fights and earlier on in his amateur career, but now we're seeing just how effective it is and how effective he uses it. So overall, like, he's making really big waves. I think those 3 wins now that he has in Aries are really legit for a lad who's 3-0. And yeah, it's great. I feel bad because I think we forget sometimes that there's Irish fighters in some of these promotions, and they probably don't get the preview type of promotion that's deserved. So we need to make sure we actually remember to look out for his next one in Aries. But wow, yeah, what a performance. Fair play to him.
Spot on. Yeah, no, you couldn't be more right about that as well. And this one was at 145, I believe, and I've heard Jordan, I believe, Andy, before talking about, he would happily move down to 135 as well, and that's where he fought almost all of his amateur career too, right? So the fact that he's coming in here and doing it at a higher weight class as well, I'm looking at him, and even the size of him there, thinking of him performing there at 135 pounds, like big problems coming in there, like for anybody who'd be willing to face him.
Definitely. And he spoke about this he was kind of brought up to the Canal Plus en français. Oui. My French, markedly better than Jordan Bradshaw's, might I add. The one thing I would say, unreal performance, needs to get on the Duolingo. He's promised them. He was chatting with the lads on the kind of broadcast team, similar to where you see like what I would call the Fox desk. I know it's not Fox anymore. It's the whatever desk and Paramount Plus desk. Yeah, he was brought up there, and he was talking about how he is usually he's not a 145, he's a bantamweight, and but he looked phenomenal. And like everything that you mentioned there, I was so impressed. And do you know what? Shame on you, Ian. Shame on you, Caoilte, and shame on me, because I feel like Jordan Bradshaw Should have been drafted number one, and I feel like he's been criminally underrated by all of us, but across the board. And maybe part of it is like it takes a performance like this for us to take a step back and think, wow, this is a guy that we've kind of been not overlooking, but like, there's so many fighters out there, and you do gravitate to certain ones, and then they draw your attention. But Jordan Bradshaw absolutely deserves that. Albeit he's in here against a guy who probably not the best fighter in the world, not the greatest record in the world, but I think some fighters go in and they fight a guy of that caliber, and maybe they go in and maybe they finish him. But Jordan Bradshaw put on a performance that he looked so many levels above his opponent. He was quick, he was composed, he was patient, his range management was perfect. He all of his shots, all of his punches, like piston, like straight shots, quick, the timing, and then when he does, he hurts him early with that kick, and then when he does take him down, the composure to wait, to control, to have the vision, and fair play as well to Keith Caoilte, who I thought did a brilliant job in the corner. He's a bit of a Chris Fields when it comes to, you hear him, he's very, very loud, but his direction and the advice that he was giving was absolutely perfect, telling him to shift his hips to the right, to get to the back, to get to look for the Suloev stretch. And we're now in a position where CMAC are this gym where they're just pulling out. We had the Tarico Plata from Jake Nye, who put on a great performance. Also, we'll talk about EFC later on. We probably won't get to his fight. He had a great, I think it was K1 or.
Hey, we'll be mentioning Team O'Neill.
Well, it doesn't count.
Don't worry about that.
We're seeing these lads, a relatively small gym that's growing up over in Blanchardstown, CMAC, and they're doing amazing things with the likes of Jordan, the likes of Keith and Alexander O'Sullivan, who are obviously, we'll talk about them more so in next week's episode when we look ahead to Cage Warriors 200. But a phenomenal performance, and one that the entire Irish MMA scene should take a step back and take notice of, because Jordan Bradshaw looks like a quality operator, and I think he's a huge amount of potential.
Absolutely, very well said. Very looking forward to seeing what's next from, whether it's at 145, whether it's at 135. Yeah, I think he's got a big 2026 ahead of him, and good to see him making some waves over there at Aries as well. So Aries also a good kind of pathway to get towards the UFC as well. So if you're being successful there, it definitely is not going unnoticed, except from the three of us. Well, we give him the shout out. Let's move on to our first interview of the day. The headliner of the Cage Warriors 200 card, Solomon Simon, takes on Nick Bagley. It's a fight, we've been looking forward to for quite some time. It's a fight that, a lot of fans will be looking forward to, or should be looking forward to as well. So I'm going to hand it over to Caoilte. He's going to lead us into the interview with Solomon Simon.
Making his fifth appearance on the L Triangle, but his first one as a champion, Cage Warriors Featherweight champion Solomon Simon joins us today. Sol, how are you?
Pretty good. I like 5 times. That's pretty good. Yeah, no. Thanks for
that. Must be a record, right?
I was trying to figure it out. Yeah, I think you might have the record now.
That's crazy. Yeah,
it's up there with you and Paddy.
Take it.
But look, it's been a while since we've spoken to you. Last time was obviously before the title fight where you won the belt. But it was a long time before that. You were just constantly in camp. Before I kind of get into reflecting on it, I guess, how much of a relief was it to finally be able to enjoy yourself, eat, and actually have like a Christmas outside of being in camp?
I'll say it was good, but like at the same time, I freaking have a fight in my head already, like freaking 6 weeks, 7 weeks after Christmas. So like, but to be honest with you, I did not let that stop me. I enjoyed myself. I embraced the moment as best as I can. Spent time with the family. Like, yeah, it was nice. It was therefore well worth it. And it was like, obviously having the fight just before Christmas as well is like a little bit of a celebration. It makes Christmas that little bit better. But yeah, it's been good.
Best Christmas present you could ask for, but you didn't look like you were too worried about the fight coming up when I think I saw those pastries you had, and they looked absolutely fantastic. What was the one of choice there?
Lies. You didn't see anything. I know what you're talking about. I am
fake
a
news.
strict diet man. Nah, like it was good. Mom brought food over. Like, boom. Kelly made a good few stuff over Christmas as well. Like those, I don't know which one is which, but there was a lot of stuff that was eaten. So, like, but they were all very good.
I guess with the fight itself, obviously last time, there was very little to there's very little footage on this guy for you to really prepare for him exactly. And then there's that obstacle, and then the fact he goes and misses weight. It just added to the series of unfortunate events that have happened with you trying to get to the title fight. But looking back on, I guess, everything that happened surrounding that fight, how was that for you looking back?
Yeah, no, there's something to be said about just like trying to go with the flow as much as possible. Like, because you can't, there's way too many things in life that you can't actually control. The opponents, like, and I've said it a few times, like, I do like watching my people just to see, like, see what they do, all that kind of little crack. But like at the same time, it's nice to know I don't need that as well. Like, I work fairly well off instinct. That, like, I have the tools to deal with anybody really, so there's no need to stress on it. And like when the higher you go now, things like that could happen, and you just have a switch up last minute all the time. So look, it's all good. Challenges, obstacles, him missing weight, to be honest, wasn't really like that much of a problem. Either way, I know I was going to take the fight no matter what. My problem was just me get on the scale, make weight, do my part. That's all I care about. Once I do my part, everything else will fall in place as it may. But yeah, no, it worked out either way. Everything is good. Missing the fight, Bagley pulling out on that one, getting injured, whatever that was, and then making it to Cage Warriors 200 instead, which is a bigger show again. Missing out the main event in Dublin a few weeks prior to that, and then coming back in Dublin, main event, Cage Warriors 200. Like, I think it's a good story. Like, I definitely cannot complain about it. I feel like everything worked out as they should.
Yeah, it all really worked out, and I think it's kind of quite poetic in a way that you're going to be headlining Cage Warriors 200 after joining the list of Cage Warriors featherweight champions, a really star-studded list there. But with that fight, I guess from performance perspective, I think from the first round it looked as though Rao could have taken that round, and I guess just looking back from your perspective, did he surprise you in any way in that fight?
Surprise, I don't know. Like, if I don't know. Like, overall, like, that first round, again, obviously I'll be biased at myself, but like I felt when it comes to damage, again, I hit him more than he hit me. Got me down within the first freaking 10 seconds, 5 seconds, it feels like, and I was right back up, and a lot of it was just Odin trying to get control. And like, I just don't rush positions like that, because you're just going to put yourself in more trouble a lot of times. Got out, landed my shots. Like, it was good. Like, it was grand. I don't know if he surprised me, because I expect everyone at this level to be good. It was quite, like, on the ground, I liked a lot of what it was doing. It didn't, like, he was sneaky with some stuff. It was hooking in different ways. That was like, it was good. But again, at this level, I expect everyone to be good. So I'm not too surprised at that. Like, well, I would say on my own end, like, when I've gone back and watched the fight a few times, I felt like a lot of that, I was just fighting off instinct most of the time. Like, I think it was just my body just doing, and you could say that's how fights could be, but usually I'm a lot more present in there. Like, I'm a lot more aware of stuff going on in there than I was on that day, which again worked out. Like, in the end, my body was able to do what it needed to do, like, and I got the job done. So no complaints there. But for sure, in my view, I don't rate that performance for myself. But like, I feel much better now. So we'll see. This one coming up will be a good one.
With the finish, and you're on about how things can be a good story, like the Cage Warriors 200. I feel like it's a great story how the fact that you managed to finish this fight with another buzzer beater. I think that must be 3-4 of them now at this point. But getting that finish, having the belt put around your waist, I guess, what was that moment like? You didn't seem too happy in the looking back. I was like, there's no smile for a little while, but what was that moment like for you?
Moment was good. Like, it's like I genuinely have lived that moment in my head so often leading up to it that, like, it genuinely sounds, I don't even know if it's arrogant you call it, but like, I've experienced it enough time that it wasn't really that surprising to me. It did not feel like, oh, this is what it is. performance, again, like I wasn't happy with it. That was probably where no massive joy or whatever it was. And at the same time as well, the person I wanted was Nick at the same time. So that had a bit to play with it as well. So, but it felt great. Like afterwards, like I think I got a lot more energy from my family, friends, etc. The joy that they felt, like I got more out of that. But in itself, like I genuinely did not feel like, oh, it's like this massive thing. And look, such a long way to go. Like I'm nowhere near where I need to be. So like it's nice, obviously mark it, like it's a good achievement, but to me it's still like it's not that big of a deal. Might be a bit understatement to say, but like as in it's I know there's still a lot more to go. So I know like I haven't gone anywhere where I need to get to, but it is still a great achievement.
I guess I saw afterwards you post up you had a lot of hurdles and you were worried about, nothing was going to derail it. I guess did that moment then feel like nearly a bit of a relief at the same time that you've managed to achieve it, but also you managed to overcome all these hurdles that you said you'd experienced? You don't have to go into it if you don't want to, but before the fight, because it sounded like it must have been a pretty tough go.
Yeah, no, like there was the ups, down, changing this, weights, that, like this, that, like all of that. It is what it is. Like, but like I'm not like it's nice to like deal with it. I was very, 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 very impressed with myself in regards to my mindset of some of the stuff that I went through in my head, and I actually like how I dealt with it in my head. Like I didn't let a lot of things drag me down. I didn't like sink into the negative thought as much as like I would have in the past. So like that was a massive check off in my head. Because I felt like that fight, everything leading up to that fight, like just unlocked a different arena in my head or a different place now that I could start exploring. I felt like I've overcome so much in the past. Every obstacle I might have put in myself or every limitation I might have put on myself in the past, I've like broken past that, and I'm in a whole new world now, and it's a nice place to be because like I like where my mind is at now. Like I feel there's still like there's a lot of unexplored territory now going forward. Like I felt like it's like nearly as if I've leveled up over time. I've like opened the door to another space now where I'm like, there's gonna be different challenges that come across, but like what the skills I've gained through my past, like I feel very confident moving forward into like this next chapter of my life. This year will be a very good year starting with this fight. Like this fight, I'm extremely excited for it.
So obviously you're talking about having to fight off instincts, ultimately getting the job done, being, somewhat a little bit disappointed with your performance as well. It all kind of showcases to me a really rock solid mentality. Even hearing you talk about, what's next for you too, and all the hurdles that you had to overcome. Like where does your mentality come from? Do you work on the mental side of the game, which is obviously very important to get you to an elite level? Like where does all of it come from for you? What kind of work do you do, or is it your own mindset that you've developed over years of training and fighting?
Yeah, like definitely I think when you're facing stuff like that on its own will like toughen you up in different ways or whatnot. But like I think it was probably mid-20s, late 20s, like that COVID period kind of thing. I was going a lot into the like self-help thing and like being present, like the whole stoic mindset. Seems a bit la-di-da, all that kind of things like that. But like there's a lot to like understanding that literally if I look at the world as it is, like the only thing I truly have control over is my mind to a certain extent. Like I don't have control over my body. I don't have control over as much events that can happen, etc., etc. And like because of that, if I focus all my strength on that, and then I start going back into my own mind, and then I start paying attention to the thoughts that come into my head, I start noticing when I'm being negative or when I'm dwelling too much on things, etc., things like that. I'm gaining the skills to like notice it first of all, and then like be like, okay, come back to the present, whatever it is. Oh, why do I feel that way? And then like try to break it down in my own head and etc. Like just could go all into that. But in general, I feel like you could say books, you could say this, but the challenges is the main thing that lets you do it, because you could know a lot of stuff or you could read a lot of stuff, but if you don't go through it and actually use the tools you've gained in that moment, like that's they don't mean anything. So every time I've gone through something and like I've like you would like if you go online, there's a bunch of stuff that will tell you, oh, do this, do that, whatever kind of thing like that. Like I've put myself in hard position doing this sports anyway, so it puts challenges on you in many different ways. But like I've been able now more and more over time using that challenge as a time to use the skills I've learned from, like if it's reading, if it's saying stuff, if it's listening to different people. There's a lot of smart people out there. There's a lot of free information out there that's good, and like using that and actually applying it and saying that it works. It is hard. Like you're like gaining. Obviously still don't have full control of the thoughts in my head, and like probably never would. But being aware of your head and like being able to deal with the thoughts in your head is a very, very useful skill to have, because like it makes a big difference, especially in the fight game, in life in general. But like your brain can really sabotage you sometimes without you knowing. Like you could be having thoughts in your head that you don't pay attention to, and like you're acting them out in the real world without knowing it. So focus on what I can control, which is my mind, and I'm trying my best to gain full control over that. I have freedom over my mind as much as possible. I don't want to lose control of that, because that's the only thing that God has given me that I should be able to deal with. Everything else, I don't have as much control over.
Of course. And I guess before we move on to the fight, your upcoming fight, I have to bring up a mayoral reception in Waterford. Now, MMA doesn't get a lot of recognition in Ireland, I think, from any, I guess, local government authority. But the fact that you got that, what was that like? It must have been incredible.
That was amazing. Like same with everything. I need to like big things up more in my own head, like but I was just more thinking, because we did it early in January. I was like, gotta have a fight coming up. That's the focus. That's whatever it is. But it was actually quite good. And then like just from talking to Kelly as well, and she's like, I don't know anyone that's done that, or I'm like, oh, maybe it's a bigger deal than it is. But it was a great atmosphere. It was nice to get recognition for that. Like again, similar to the belt itself. Like I gained a lot of energy from like my family, friends, etc. Like the joy that they felt from it, like coaches, etc. Like that was a really big deal to them. Like that was like, so I was like, oh, this is good. Enjoyed it that much more. Again, gaining energy from them. But no, it was a great day, great experience. It was freaking delighted to get that recognition in Waterford. Like always good. Like therefore happy.
It's massive. Go ahead, Andy.
I was just going to ask, how does that come about? Like how do you just suddenly have a mayoral reception? Did they reach out to you? Like, how does this come to be?
Yeah, like the Bobby contacted was one that told me about it. But I think another Brian Partridge is also involved in that world, but he's also he trains with us. Like he trained with us for a good while, but he's a teacher. He's basically with us, but like he trained with us for a good while, and then like I think he knows the mayor or is connected to the mayor in some way. So when that happened, that information went there, because I think usually it's always like football players, hurling, and all that kind of thing that gets that. But I think having that sort of connection that way therefore made a massive difference. And then they got in touch then with Bobby, and Bobby got in touch with me, etc., and then we got organizing and stuff. But like I think a lot of it would have been Brian Partridge connection with me and him being connected to the gym as well. Those two together made it happen.
That's incredible, Solomon. All right, talk to me about Nick Bagley. Cage Warriors 200 main event, Dublin. The fight that you wanted from the beginning, the one that was meant to happen. What was it like to finally get that over the line, and then hearing that it's going to be headlining the Dublin card?
Yeah, the headline, I think I really only saw it yesterday with that, because I still wasn't too sure. Like it was like between Paddy and etc. But like I was like, either way, I wasn't caring too much. But it's like that's what I was saying about like this. It's a good story. Like overall, like it's a very good story. This would be something I would therefore keep in the back of in keeping it back of my head for a good while. But yeah, Nick, again, been looking at him for a long time, like as in from literally, I feel like we might have entered Cage Warriors at similar enough times at that time. I've been keeping an eye on him. He once I went, it went when and like finishes as well. Like so, it's not like I don't think he has any decisions 7-1. Yeah, like I think it's 6 submissions. I think there somewhere. But like overall, like is very good rating, striking very good as well, grappling very good as well. Like so, he's like very good overall. So the reason I feel this is sort of like the kind of fight I need is I I level up based on my opponent, or I perform based on the opponent a lot of times. Something I probably again need to work on my own sense, like just to bring my full kind of things out. But I like it's like a dance we're doing in there. I need to see what you're doing, I'm doing, and I'm reacting / like making decisions based on what you're doing. But a lot of the opponents, I feel like not if I hit them or if I like press them a little bit, they tend to cower away, or like once I put it on, I can't get it out of their straight. So whatever way I want to phrase it, but I feel Nick is gonna bring the fight in a different way. Like I could see him being a bit more aggressive in there, a bit more assertive, or trying to impose himself a bit more, which would only bring out a better part of me. But so it also gives me different opportunities, obviously as well. But like I'm excited to actually see what version of myself comes out on this day. I want to like I feel like there's parts of me that I haven't seen yet that Nick is going to bring out, and I'm excited for it.
What did you make of it since the last time you faced off? And he's in your face saying, "Let's get smoky," is it, or something along the lines of that? And the Chewy, you're commenting on he has a bit of a heel on his shoes to make him a bit taller. What did you take from that face off with him?
I still do not know what "let's get smoky" meant. I am thinking it has to do with having a fight or something along that line. But like I was in my what's it called? I was like obviously in my bare feet, and like he was just like barely catching up to me. I was looking at the heel, so I'm like he's probably a lot smaller than I thought he was as well. Like, but hey, overall, like I have no idea what he's talking about. Face off itself, like it is what it is. But like he gave me a different energy in a different way, in the sense like I wouldn't say he pissed me off, but I felt a bit annoyed at because I felt a bit annoyed at some of the things that he did afterwards. But like that, we're gonna settle that in the cage itself. But the overall like face off is a face off. All of that, literally nothing means anything until we get into that cage. That's when all of this smoky whatever that means, like we'll figure it out on that night when that cage closes and there's no one else there, and he's coming in to try hump on my leg and he can't get in. He's getting panged left, right, and center. That's when we're gonna see what happens. When he gets hit and it's hurt, let's see what happens. When he tries to take me down, he fails. When he does maybe take me down and he can't keep me there, let's see what happens. When it starts to get deep, let's see what happens. Because a lot of people's face, like they look, we'll leave it at that. Like, they will leave.
Don't leave it at that, Sol. Keep going, please.
Well, like we'll see on that night. We'll see on that night. Like, I think it's gonna be an interesting. It's gonna be an interesting fight once a lot of his typical things doesn't start to work, or like he has to dig in a little bit deeper, and someone is not just lying there giving him everything he wants just for the sakes of it. But like we'll see. Like I will hurt you wherever that fight goes. If we're standing, I'm gonna hurt you. If you come near me on the cage, I will hurt you. There's nowhere in the fight you're gonna be safe. If I'm on bottom, I'm hurting you. Like there's nowhere that you're gonna be safe. And like I'm excited for it. I really I think let's see on the night. 2 weeks left.
Maybe he was inviting you for a cigar. Maybe that's the let's get smoky. Was, it's a friendly cigar. Could that be it?
Cigar, yeah. Get thumped in the face with a cigar. That's what we'll see.
Solomon, there's an intensity to you that I feel like we haven't seen before here. is there animosity coming into this fight, or like has there been any contact between you and Bagley since then? It seems that you're coming in with bad intentions here.
The animosity, like I'm not going into this with any emotions per se. I do want to hurt him, and I will hurt him, and I know for sure he wants to hurt me, and he plans on doing that. But I want to do a lot of damage on this man, and like I think it's a fight that is therefore gonna like level both of us up either way. It's gonna be a great show for the fans, etc. But like when I'm in there, I want to hurt him. I want to see how he deals with things. I want him to actually try hurting me. I want to get hurt in it. I want to see where that is. We'll deal with that when that time comes. But like I'm coming in with a lot of violence with this, and like I'm not being reckless. I'm not being like crazy. But he's gonna get hurt. I'm gonna see how he deals with it, and I hope it can hurt me, so that way I could like see parts of myself that I haven't seen yet. So like we'll deal with all of that on that night, because it's gonna be a chaotic moment. Like I can't control everything that happens in there on that night, but like going into it, like I will hurt him. There is no way he's gonna feel safe. Like, and like if he wants. I think I could see him trying to stand for a bit, like just to like see how it ends. As soon as it gets here, he's gonna revert to what is most comfortable at. But that's exactly where the most danger is gonna be at. So we're gonna see on that night. We're gonna see on the night.
Do you think a win on the night will be enough to get you a UFC contract, or do you think that could be dependent on a finish?
I think at the level that we're at, I feel like we're at that level to be in the UFC already now. So I feel a win should be enough. But like I don't like judges. They can get that wrong way too often. Like, and I've been on the other end of that too often. So like I don't plan on leaving to judges in any case. Like throughout this pro career, every chance I get, I'm taking you out of there. Like if it's in the last second or in the first second of the fight, I'm trying to get you out of there. And like when you see me going in, it doesn't look like I'm being a bit too aggressive, but I'm being aggressive from the very get-go. You just like, it might not look it on the outside, but I'm finding ways that I could finish you, finding ways I could literally grab your soul and rip it out of you. And that's something I'm really, really, really looking forward to. It's going to be a really good name to add to my collection. And I am not planning on letting the judges decide it anyway. So, but I would say a win should be enough. But either way, I'm still going for a finish anyway.
So this fight has been, and this card as a whole has been highly touted on the UFC broadcast last night. They were doing small little segments of broadcasting this card, so we could see an extra amount of fans that are tuning in here. I'm wondering if you would have a message for anyone who is going to tune in on Saturday, on the Saturday night of Cage Warriors 200, and maybe a message for Mr. Bagley as well, although you have delivered a couple of messages already. What would be the message you would be telling everybody that's going to be tuning in?
If like everyone's tuning in, might not have seen me for the first time, maybe you should go back and watch the rest of my fight. 7 fights, 7 finishes, and we're going back on the 8th one to do the exact same thing. Like it's gonna be exciting. He's a high level opponent, so like this is only gonna level up the fight itself. Like it's gonna be an iconic fight. I could see this fight being one of the ones where we're talked about for ages after this. So like it's gonna be an exciting fight. It's like I bring violence, but I do not do it like recklessly. Like it's gonna be a beautiful violence. You're gonna see art on that day. I'm gonna paint a picture in that cage. Like if you don't want to miss that, tune in. You want to see it, and you will enjoy every second of it. Nick, please bring your best. That's all I'm hoping for. Maybe don't try to hug me that much. If you can, but I know you will have to if I hit you. But look. Let's give the fans a bit of striking. We could smoke on the feet.
So I think that's a perfect place to finish it up. Thank you so much for your time. For those tuning in, you can catch Salman Stein versus Nick Bagley in the Cage Warriors 200 main event for the Cage Warriors Featherweight Championship.
UFC
Thank you very
Fight
much.
Pass. Love it.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, all.
Thanks, Al.
All right, boys, we're back to talk some domestic action with Elite FC, which took place this past weekend.
Ian, before we do, can we just comment? That was an intense solid, Simon.
That was an intense one. We were energized after that one. I think that it was probably the most heightened we've ever seen Solomon. He's been on with us 5 times now, so you could see the excitement, you could see the anticipation, you can see how much he's really looking forward to this fight. And it just, I think that poured gasoline on the fire that already exists for my anticipation of this fight so far. So credit to Sol, great interview as well. And fair play to him. Fair play to Elite FC Tours, continuing to pull on shows down in the south of Ireland. Badly needed, and another one went down this past weekend as well. The first one of the year is obviously an important one, and we had a couple of good fights and lads to top the card. Andy, maybe I'll go to you maybe to chat about a couple of the standout moments from that card. I'll bring you into Caoilte as well. Good strong start for Elite FC. They had a good 2025, and long may it continue, lads. We had Amy Scully and a lot of other fighters there to look forward to what was called the Night of Champions down in Cork on Saturday.
Yeah, a great night of fights and great broadcast as well, I would say, as well, from EFC. Apologies, tickling my throat here. But the main event, I thought I really enjoyed this fight. It was a very, very close fight between Shane Carmody from MMA Cork and Rian Dunleavy from Shaolin MMA. I've seen a lot of Rian Dunleavy over the past year. Really, really solid grappler. And it was back and forth, like first round, very, very close. I think really the first round was what decided it, because the second two, I'll jump ahead to the second round and third round. The second round was really Dunleavy, not dominating, but he was definitely a Dunleavy round. He got the double leg immediately, controlled the grappling, landed some strikes, and then the third round was the opposite. It was the brief striking exchange. Carmody got the takedown. Again, not a huge amount of damage, but he landed some shots towards the end of the round that I thought nicked it, or not nicked it, but I thought that won him the round. So I had pretty clear round 2 for Dunleavy, round 3 for Carmody, and it came down to that first round. So it was just really entertaining grappling. Like, it was just wild scrambles where I didn't really know, like, as a non jiu-jitsu head who's done like one beginner's course in jiu-jitsu about 5 years ago, like I'm there just trying to keep up with the scrambles and see what's going on. But it was back and forth. Rian shot for a single leg early, but Carmody took his back and looked for a choke. It looked pretty close, but he didn't have both hooks in. A lot of fun scrambles. Dunleavy ended up getting a reverse crucifix at one point, and then later on got to a crucifix position and landed a couple of shots, but then Carmody was threatening with heel hooks towards the end. And I think the judges got this right. So they scored a 29-28 to Shane Carmody across the board, and I think that they got the right man here. I know the commentary team, who, to be fair to them, like, I think they're probably a Cork-based commentary team, and Carmody was an MMA Cork fighter, and to be fair to them, they were saying, maybe Dunleavy has won this 2-1, but I think the judges got it right in this one, and a great win for Shane Carmody, and a really fun fight that both fighters look pretty good in too. We also had Daniel. Go ahead.
That was for the featherweight title, right?
That was, yes, the vacant featherweight title. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So congratulations to him as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we also had a couple of other big wins. Daniel Ara from CMAC MMA. Callum Leach was looking really good here. This is for the super middleweight title. Callum Leach was looking really good, very tactically taking the fight to the ground. This seemed like a real striker versus grappler matchup. Or, I'm not saying that necessarily either is just a striker or a grappler, but that's the way the styles played out on the night, where Daniel Ara was just kind of getting the better of the striking exchanges early, but Callum Leach did a brilliant job of taking the fight down. I felt that he won the first round, but then Ara just kind of really came into his own in the second, landed some clean shots early, beautifully ripping to the body, and then going up top in the early exchanges. Leach did a good job of getting the fight to the ground again, but then he went for a knee bar at one point and kind of fell off, and at that point Ara just started landing pretty heavy shots from half guard and a stack position, and continued to land, and ultimately got the second round TKO. So a brilliant win for him. Dealt with the adversity of Leach's grappling and came back to win. And then we had Amy Scully doing Amy Scully things in fighting for the strawweight title here, where she's had a couple of difficult fights probably over the last couple of years, where she's taken a few losses, but she came out here fighting Daniela Debella from Samson Martial Arts, and firstly loved the Crazy Frog walkout. I thought that was great, a bit of a throwback for the millennials watching. And I think Debella looked pretty good striking, but Amy just very instantly just level change, took her down, almost had an armbar, and then Debella did a good job of getting out of that, but used her top pressure. Eventually postured up, and as Debella scrambled, that was when she didn't finish it, but she got into side control, knee right through the mount, snatched the arm, stepped over, and finished with an armbar. So another first round win and an armbar again. I think Amy Scully's had a couple of armbar wins now in her career. So another really good win for Amy Scully here, and a brilliant performance.
Yeah, nice breakdown, Andy. Caoilte, anything that sticks out to you from the card itself?
I guess Andy's kind of summed up there has been perfect, but there's been there was a couple of good wins there as well. I think Tom Buckley has probably he's cemented himself as one of the elite amateurs in the scene at the moment. He goes to 7-1, split decision win over Rory Burke, so that's a really legit win to have. And I imagine we'll see a lot more of him in the coming weeks and months for more than likely titles. Barry Kennedy, once again, he's thriving on the amateur scene as well. Second round guillotine for him. So another big win there. I think that was one of the Ireland versus France fights. There seems to be a lot of French.
Well,
conflicts got Italians.
Yeah, well, look at
Elite FC have the French.
France last week in the rugby didn't kind of go to plan, so we had to get our own back somehow.
Well, it wasn't all that good for the Irish in this case, because there was another one. I think it was Johnny Duggan's fight, and I believe he was unfortunate in that one. He lost to the other Ireland versus France fight went in the way of France. So look, it was one apiece at the end of the night, I believe. But overall, look, really good night of fights. I actually had a friend who went down there. He listens to this, Connor. He was messaging me through it. He was telling me how good it was, and he was singing its praises. He was saying that he's telling me I need to go down to the next one with him and everything. So good to hear the fan side of things as well, and get feedback from that. So he said it ran really smoothly from a spectator's point of view. Yeah,
well done to the Elite FC crew. Fantastic that they are continuing to put on cards, and regular cards as well. So long may it continue. It's very, very important for the scene down in the south of the country. It's probably about the only show that's happening down there right now, and outside there's the big shows like Cage Warriors, etc. So we spoke about that time and time again.
The only issue is you have a promotion from Cork, and we listen. Cork people they think the world revolves around Cork. Bring an L show. Come on now, lad. Is it Barry O'Callaghan? Bring an L show.
That's him now.
There. It's a long drive. It's a long drive down to Cork. Come on now.
Even though it wasn't a mixed martial arts fight, it was kind of a K1. Jake Knight put on a fantastic performance. Not just a grappler, lads. Jake Knight from CMAC winning by TKO in the third round of his K1 fight too.
Just out of curiosity, why are you highlighting the K1 fight here? Just out of curiosity.
Because Team O'Neill is where it's at.
Oh, there we go.
And we will compete. We will compete.
Propaganda, is that it?
Multiple sports. Any bonus points for winning
for side quests?
Yeah, side quest missions. Yeah. Like a side mission in GTA, but anyway, I digress. Wait, I can't remember my team now. Do I have Quiz? You've Omar Tugarov, do you? Team already.
I've got Omar Tugarov. Yeah, I've got
a little side quest there now. Grappling.
No gi. See, no, there's nothing.
2 extra bonus points for the fact that it's no gi as well. I think. Yeah, we'll just make up the rules as we go along. Yeah. I digress, guys. Let's go to our second interview of the day. Paddy McCorry. After competing on Dana White's Contender Series, obviously that didn't go to plan. He speaks about that in this interview. Well, he now has the chance to become a world champion for the very first time. He competes in the co-main event of Cage Warriors 200 against Dario Belandi for the middleweight championship of the world. I'm going to send it right over to Mr. Andy Stevenson, who's going to take us away for that interview.
A very special welcome back to YouTube's latest sensation, Paddy McCorry, as he gears up for his world title fight next Saturday night in the RDS in Dublin versus Dario Belandi for the Cage Warriors middleweight title. Paddy, you look like a man who is just in tune with algorithms, is in tune with thumbnails, and possibly giving us some consultancy advice here. How are you? How is your YouTube journey going so far?
I'm very good, bro. I'm very good. I haven't a fucking clue about YouTube. It's all the spaceman's work. Justin Edit, I think his Instagram name is, but he's the man behind the scenes pulling the strings, bro. I haven't a fucking clue.
He's the guy behind the success of Paul Hughes' channel too, right?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. He's the man.
Yeah. No, it's great. I'm joking aside. It's great to see. I was watching your channel there earlier on. It's brilliant.
I hope you subscribed.
Of course. Of course. We wouldn't do that to you. And listen, come here. Firstly, before I get any further, congratulations. First pick is what I should have introduced you as. First pick of Team Stevenson for 2026.
First pick, let's go.
World titles come and go, but the 2026 Team Stevenson season is forever.
You're smarter than you look, Andy. You're smarter than you look.
Yeah, well, he stole him from me. No, he did, Paddy. He stole him from me because you're on my team last year, and my team kicked everybody's ass last year. So I mean, he had to get success from somewhere. He had to get success from somewhere.
I was watching your channel though, Paddy. It's like, I don't know if I've ever seen you so bashful. I would say you looked a little bit nervous in the first year. Are you getting used to being on camera?
Bro, you know what? I blame it on Justin. Like he was just like, we would just be done training, and I turn around, boom, he's like, give me an outro to the vlog. I'm like, holy fuck. Like, it was, you know what I mean? It was overwhelming. He was like just whipping the camera out. I was like, Jesus, bro, give me a fucking heads up. Like, you know what I mean? He just put me on the spot. But now we're rolling with the punches. I'm used to it now. So it's not that bad. But that first vlog, I was like, intros, outros, and all this carry on. I'm like, Jesus, this is heavy shit.
Yeah. Because like you look at like people doing it. I can never understand. Like, even when we're doing this, I feel like there's a different, you're conscious more of what you're saying and things like that. Yeah, I find it a little bit trickier. How often is he going around with you? And like, do you get used to it quickly? Or
it's just like a couple of days a week, bro. I just basically send him my schedule every Sunday, and then he like just basically ties in with what works with his schedule, comes up for a couple of the sessions. The next video was actually really cool. Like them first couple were just a bit short, but in the next one he like came to my house and we went a wee walk around like the area that I grew up in and stuff. So I think that'll be a good watch, and we like sat down and watched the Contender Series fight and all. He forced me to watch that fight back. But it actually makes for a good watch, to be fair.
Yeah, no, it's really good so far. I'm enjoying it, and I look forward to continue watching along. And as you mentioned there, I'm sure everyone will go and subscribe. You mentioned the
like and subscribe.
You mentioned the cursing, or that little kind of clip that he continuously uses is pretty good.
Yeah, everyone in the gym is going fuck. Like, fuck's sake.
Paddy, you mentioned the Dana Boy's Contender Series fight there. I think the last time we spoke to you was prior to that. You'd had a couple of brilliant wins. Obviously, the KO of Ty Palmer on Cage Warriors and that domination of Shuki Faraj. You're coming into this fight on the 3-fight winning streak. You go over to Vegas. You get the job done in a pretty clean performance, but ultimately you don't get signed to the UFC. How do you reflect on that fight? And I suppose, given we haven't spoken to you, what was your reaction when you got your hand raised but you didn't get the contract?
Bro, I can't even remember getting my hand raised, to be honest. I was on a different planet. Like I got rocked heavy in that third round. I can't really remember the third round, the decision. Like, can't remember any of those moments like in the immediate aftermath. But going into the third round, like, I knew that this guy was like slow pace and tried to like draw you out to come up short and then land heavy shots. So I'd done a bit of studying, and I was like trying to just outscore him and make him have to get desperate and then walk him onto something, kind of, you know what I mean? It wasn't like, he's not like the ideal style of fight in the Contender Series where they're like looking for basically an exciting and a reckless fight, and you have like two kind of counter strikers, you know what I mean? So going into the third round, I knew I had the first two in the bank, but I also knew that I needed to put an exclamation mark on the fight. so I was planning on a big finish in the third round, and just as I was planning to go through the gears, he clipped me with a great shot. I like dipped into an uppercut, and then I was just on autopilot. Like after the fight, I was asking Pat like 20 times, "Did I shoot? There's no way I shot. Did I shoot for a takedown?" And he was like, "I think you're concussed. You've asked me 20 times." So I was like, "Fuck me!" I couldn't believe it. So it was like, obviously when I watch the Contender Series, you know you need to like finish strong, or you need to have like a big end of the fight. And then like in my fight, I'm like getting separated against the cage for the first time in my whole career, and it's like in the last minute of the Contender Series, which is just, it's desperate. It looks so desperate because I'm not obviously making a decision to hold him at the cage. I was just in La La Land. I was just trying to recover from those shots. And then even watching it back, like when I landed that takedown, I was so high up his hips, and his defense wasn't great. He like crawled back to the fence and had his head against the cage. And how much we drill to give someone space and land a lot of damage exactly in those positions, like day in, day out, I'd be drilling that. So if I was in those positions and I was consciously aware of what I was doing, I feel like I really could have put an exclamation mark on the fight after the takedown and got the contract. But it was just like, I can't even remember going for a takedown. Can't remember us being separated. I couldn't remember any of that. As soon as I got clipped, I was buzzed, and I obviously was just trying to recover. But watching it with Justin, that was the first time I've actually watched the first full fight and got through the 3 rounds without being so annoyed with myself and turning it off. But even then, it was like 1 minute 26 seconds left when I got that takedown. And as I say, he crawled back to the cage and had his head at the cage. And like, if I had 120 of gas in me to give him space and just let her rip, basically, it could have been enough, you know what I mean? But I mean, everything happens for a reason, because if that didn't happen then, I wouldn't be in this position and in this shape that I'm in now. I wouldn't have this mentality that I have now, and I wouldn't have made the changes that I have made, you know what I mean? So last year was like the perfect storm for me. Like I wasn't happy with that Shuki Faraj performance. The Contender Series was just like, it stung, you know, and it just made me really take a look at myself, take a look at my like heart, the style I'm fighting, take a look at the life I'm living. And like, although I've always trained so hard and always like put it in the gym, there was just some wee 1% where I was, that I never thought would have mattered, because I was working so hard in other aspects. But it just showed me that in them high stakes fights and those high pressure situations, every 1% comes to the surface. So I've just went and ironed out everything, and right now I honestly feel like the full package, bro. I just know that there's no one outworking me. There's no one living the life more than me, inside and outside the gym. So it's like, it's made me a harder man to beat in the long run, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to hear you reflect on it that way, and a very kind of honest reflection of I suppose the performances, which were incredibly good and clean, and you know, really good wins. But like to be, I don't know if you heard us talking about it or not, but like I questioned in the aftermath, like the Shuki Faraj one, for example, you destroyed him, but it seemed like you. And this is from looking from the outside in. It seemed like you were kind of content to not go for the finish, and then there was kind of question marks after the, you know, obviously going into the Contender Series, and you know, hindsight is 2020, and we obviously don't know that you've taken a huge shot, so there's a very understandable reason there. But I was coming away thinking, you know, are you almost like, not, I don't know if gun shy is the word, or not pushing enough for the finish in fights, when we've seen you do this so many times before? And I'm curious, like, do you feel like, is that an unfair
definitely
criticism?
definitely last year I feel like I was like holding back and just not pulling the trigger enough, and just not having like the killer instinct that I've had in previous fights. With like the Shuki Faraj one, of like, I don't know what it was with him, like it was almost like I knew that he wasn't on my level, but probably almost shouldn't even have been in there with him. But it was like, that guy just fell through in Dublin like 4 weeks before. They told me they're going to get me a fight on Rome in 3 weeks after. Next minute it's 10 days out, 12 days out, or whatever it was, and you don't have a fight. So it's like, give me anyone. And then he had a fight fall through at light heavyweight, so I'm at a catch it. So it was like just a needs must kind of thing. But then I'm like going into the fight and, don't know, maybe like too careful or something. I don't know.
Do you think that, again, this is, I don't want to put my own opinion on this, but like, it turned into a real cultural moment where, you know, at a time when there's a huge conflict going on, and you're kind of, you know, metaphorically standing up for the Palestinian people, and you're fighting an Israeli fighter, and it became much more than just, fighter A versus fighter B in a cage. Did that feed into it a bit, where like it's, you're taking, I think you took a picture or pretended to take a picture at one point, or when you were close to getting the finish, did that feed into it a bit, where you're almost like giving the bully a beatdown, if metaphorically?
No, I didn't. I didn't pretend to take a photo. No, I think I was just screaming at him, bro. But like, you watch it, I don't know what the fucking you do in fights. I watch that back. I'm like, Jesus, where the fuck did that come from? But like, I just don't like that guy at all, bro. Don't like him. Don't like his team. Like, we were in the hotel all week, and his corner men are just messaging me messaging me like disrespectful things, and just like, I'm like, you're messaging me this as if I can't go down the stairs and slap you. You know what I mean? But you could just see the unprofessionalism of them, and like, you could just see that they weren't used to being on like that sort of stage, so to speak. Like, they just never knew how to carry themselves. And then he was, you know what I mean? It was just, I don't think that was anything to do with it. No, I'm like, don't know, maybe like a lot of like hard sparring before or something, maybe a wee bit worn down. But it's like, it's all just excuses at the end of the day, bro. I should have been fucking in there pulling the trigger, no matter what day it is, no matter how I felt. I should have got him out of there. But with the guy in Contender Series, he was a hard cunt, and I was hitting him some heavy shots, and I could feel the shots going up my arm, and he was just not even blinking. And in Contender Series, I had after the weight cut, because cage warrior scales are like, it's MMA's worst kept secret. They're usually a bit late. So that was probably the first time I've actually made 84.
Not anymore by the sounds of things.
Not anymore, yeah. But that was probably the first time I've actually made 84 in a while. And then in Vegas, like, I think I'd done a wee bit more of a bigger cut. And when I was trying to refuel, I was like putting too much sodium in my body too quick, and it wasn't holding anything. I was just flushing it out. And then I was thinking, because it's flushing it out, I need more sodium. So I was just chasing my tail. But it was a mistake on my behalf not having a nutritionist on board. So that's something that I corrected right away as soon as I got home after that fight. Went and got a great nutritionist on board, Charlie Minton, and we've been working for months now. We've got things dialed in and fine-tuned, and my weight now is great. And like, the first 5 minutes on my first call with him, when I was explaining my weight cut and my refuel, he answered the questions immediately and told me exactly where I went wrong. And I was like, oh God, I was just doing the complete opposite of what I should have been doing in that refueling process. But bro, like, there is just a couple of things, like, there's just a couple of things, bro, you know what I mean? Like, probably smoking too much, like, you know what I mean? If we call a spade, like, I was like, I've always just fucking had a smoke, like, you know what I mean? From no age, I always was on the Mary Jane daily, like, you know what I mean? And I feel like at a point that got me from like struggling to a survival level, but then I think that's also what was stopping me going from a survival level to success, and, you know, fulfilling my potential. So I feel like the same thing that like got me off the ground and got me to the gym was the same thing that was like kind of stunting my potential and stopping me from pushing on. So like, in fights like that Contender Series fight, I'm like, right, okay, I have the read on this guy. I feel like skill-wise I'm better than him, but in the back of my head I'm like, he's definitely not smoking as much spliffs as me, and he's definitely not on the bongs like I am. So I don't want to make this about cardio, and I don't want to make this about who has the better lungs, because that's the area where he'll probably be able to catch me, you know what I mean? Which is just, it's so, like, I feel silly even saying that now when I've like cleaned everything up and how great I feel now. But that's just how it was. That's just how it was then, you know what I mean? And it just really came to the surface in that fight when I was trying to leave it till too late to go for the gears and to really put the foot on the gas with him. Because I knew in the back of my head, like, there's no way these people are damaging their lungs as much as I am. And although I was training hard as fuck and I was feeling fit as fuck, it's just always in the back of your head, you know what I mean? Whereas now there's been none of that, you know what I mean? And it's crazy how I feel now. I'm like, if only if only like I have been feeling like this the last few years. It's like it's mad to the level that I actually got to, and how much I was smoking. You know what I mean? So
I mean,
now it's like
that's called learning and growing, Paddy. Like, I
yeah.
wouldn't
No,
be
100%,
beating
100%,
yourself up
bro.
about that.
Yeah, definitely. It was like I almost like attached myself to it and like convinced myself that I needed it, and my style, like that's what made me have that like bit of style and that creativity and flow. And then like when you go off it for a couple of weeks, it's like you have like brain fog and you're still maybe gassing and stuff, like having the withdrawal. So I would like go off it for a couple of weeks and be like, right, I'm still not feeling very fit, and now I'm having brain fog and I'm not as creative as I was, so I must need it, and then just come back and going on it again. Whereas now I've actually had a couple of months off it. It's like I'm like now I have so much mental clarity. I'm fresh as a daisy. My lungs and my legs are great. My creativity has all came back. My REM sleep is through the roof. Like for example, whenever I was smoking, I would get like 9 hours sleep a night and get 15 minutes of REM sleep, which is the sleep that you need to repair your body, to repair your brain, to repair everything, just to recover from training. Now, even if I get 6, 7, 8 hours sleep, I'm getting 2, 3 hours of REM sleep, which is so I'm waking up and jumping out of bed and going to the gym. Where before I would have been sleeping for 9 hours and waking up like I never even slept, and going to the gym feeling exhausted, and in turn feeling like I needed to have a puff in the afternoon to get me up again at night time to do my second session. So it was just a vicious circle, you know what I mean? Uh, and I just feel like that Contender Series was the perfect storm to just like put it in black and white for me. Like, look how close you were to getting everything you dreamed of, and like it's like you're about to throw this away to keep being a pothead. Like, how fucking stupid are you? Do you know what I mean? And it's like I've had a couple lessons before where it's like, like made me aware of that, but none to that extreme, or none that maybe hurt as much as that Contender Series lesson. So maybe it was just exactly what I needed, you know what I mean? And I feel like the full package now, there's not 1 ounce of doubt in my cardio, in my recovery, in anything now. I'm really pushing the pace on people, and it's like everything is just completely flipped on its head from I stopped doing it, which is like I'm sure it's no surprise to you, but like I was 17, 10 years, like I was everyday smoker, like, you know what I mean?
I mean, like, it was pretty obvious to everyone. I mean, it was part of your celebrations.
Yeah.
It was I know, and I'm glad that I was interested to talk to you about it, because you opened your I think it was your first YouTube video with off the green and on the gold.
Yeah. I was just like trying to have a bit of crack with it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be like, I'm off the green and now I'm this big serious guy, you know, like.
No, but like it sounds like
everyone knows how hard you have to work to be in this game, to make a career in this game, and to get to this level, you know what I mean? So I don't want to keep ranting on like, oh, I'm so serious and I work so fucking hard. It's like everyone already knows, but I still be in the gym. We still all be having the crack. We'll still be like putting the work in, and like you know what I mean? You don't lose your personality whenever you start smoking it. But maybe I did attach my mind to being a pothead for too long. You know what I mean?
Well, off the green and on the gold, it definitely sounds like the next T-shirt, Paddy, for sure.
Absolutely, bro. Absolutely.
Paddy, I spoke to you.
You always do what you've always done. You always get what you've always got. So we've made the correct changes, and I think that it'll show on the night.
Yeah, look, I appreciate you being kind of honest in your reflection about, the last couple of performances, and it sounds like it's been a very transformative last 6 months for you. You told me a long time ago that one of your main goals in MMA was to get on that wall in FAI to become a Cage Warriors champion, where you go up there and you see Joe McColgan, you see Paul Hughes, you see Reece McKee up there with their banners, and that's what you want. Like, I imagine the combination of the changes as a result of the Dana White's Contender Series, and now, as you're going towards a world title fight, 5 rounds, something you've never done before, that must have flipped a switch in you, right?
Yeah, absolutely, bro. Absolutely. It flipped a switch in me, all right. Like, I know I need to be in tip-top condition for 5 rounds, and that's exactly what I'm in. That's what I have been in for weeks now. You know what I mean? I've been dog housing fives fresh men from the start of December, and now, like, how fresh I am in the 4th round, going into the 5th round, finishing the 5th round, really, really pushing the pace. Like, I'm Fight Academy are notorious for always doing long rounds, you know what I mean? We would always do a lot of rounds every Sunday, even when you're only fighting for like 3 rounds. So I do feel like that 5 rounds is going to suit me. You know what I mean? But maybe mentally, if it was still smoking, I'd be like, oh, I would prefer to get this done earlier. Where I'm happy if I go in here and get this guy out of there early, I'll be happy. But if this goes into the 4th and 5th round, then I'll show everyone the work that I've been putting in and the level that I'm at. You know.
Absolutely. I mean, look, let's talk about the fight. You're no stranger to Cage Warriors. You know, your entry into Cage Warriors was against former Cage Warriors champion in James Webb. You're taking on here a bona fide Cage Warriors middleweight champion in Dario Belandi. This isn't someone who's just, you know, holding a vacant title or anything like that. He's been in the promotion for a long time. He's paid his dues. He's had some great fights, some great wars. He's won the title and he's defended it a number of times. So you're coming in here to take out the champion. What do you see? What are you expecting come Saturday, 21st of February in the RDS Arena?
I'm expecting a clinic, bro. I'm expecting to show people what I'm all about. And I know I say it time and time again. It feels like I've only showed you a percentage of what I can actually do. But I really do feel like this is the perfect opponent for me to really showcase my skills. Belandi's legit. I have a lot of respect for him. Don't need to disrespect him at all. To like 2-time European champion as an amateur, Cage Warriors champion, basically cleaned out the division. He's been the champion for a couple of years now, and that's exactly what I fucking want. You know, I would much prefer this over like going in and fighting for a vacant title or something like that. I'm happy that he's established his name in Cage Warriors. I'm happy that he's had these wars and everyone gets to see how tough he is, because it's going to be so much more impressive when you see what I'm going to do to him. You know what I mean? But yeah, he's legit, bro. I've been I've been working so fucking hard, and I know that I'm more than ready to go in and put on a showcase in this fight.
There's a lot of tape on him, obviously, because he's been fighting for so long in the promotion. What do you see as his biggest strengths?
He's good everywhere. He's good at mixing it together. He's a real true MMA fighter. You know what I mean? Like, just when you think he's going to box, he shoots. Just when you think he's shooting, he'll box, he throws some kicks, he mixes it up. I feel like he's very, very good everywhere, but he's not great anywhere. He's like got good cardio and he chips away at people, but also people make massive mistakes about him against him. He plods forward and gets people to make mistakes and basically overexert themselves just from his presence and just from him plodding. So there is a couple of holes in this game that we've picked out that we definitely think that I'm going to be able to exploit. But I just think his eagerness to push the pace and to push the fight is what's going to be to his demise when he fights me.
We've seen many different versions of Paddy McCorry. So we've seen the submission artist. We've seen the guy throwing these, you know, crazy flying knees, getting these big KOs. We've seen you put on clinics. But as you've mentioned, you've been through kind of a transformative period the last while. What version of Paddy McCorry can we expect on the night?
Just the best version of me that there has ever been, bro. But like I said, not like every fighter comes in, I've had the best camp, I've done this, you know, like it's all smoke and mirrors, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't really matter other than what happens on the night. But I am just so confident that I've ticked every box, and I'm just so happy that I have an opponent as worthy as Belandi to go out and showcase my skills against, like I said. But this is like the true version of me, bro, you know what I mean? I think like in the past, people have got glimpses of my potential, but never really seen me be the full package, you know what I mean? Like, you see glimpses of it, but then it's not quite there yet, but it's here now. Like, I am the full package now, 100%. Last year was the perfect storm, and this fight is coming at the perfect time for me, and I just can't fucking wait to get 5-5s to let it rip, you know what I mean?
It's obviously, you know, a big moment for you in your career, given that you're fighting for your Cage Warriors title. But it's also a huge moment for the promotion in that it's, you know, Cage Warriors 200. They're making a big deal about it. I know you're not the main event, co-main event. I'm sure you'll probably turn around and say people's main event or something like that.
People's main event.
But is it extra special to fight on a card like this? And I suppose I know every fight is a fight, but the fact that this is a world title fight, do you think it'll, you know, what do you expect to feel should you know, Graham Boylan or Ian Dean wrap the belts around your waist on Saturday night?
Yeah, it's actually like a fight is a fight, and no matter where it was, bro, I would be approaching this the same way, and I'd be looking at the fight the same way. It's just like you said earlier in this interview. It's getting on that back wall.
Man down.
Off me, man down. 2 seconds. It's just like getting on that back wall, becoming Fight Academy Ireland's 5th world champion, and just like achieving a dream that I set out for myself when I first walked into the gym, and also just like having something to give back to Pat and Shando and the rest of the team, like for the work that they've put in to me over the years. You know what I mean? That's what's going to be special. It's the people that I'm on this journey with, and just to be able to bring a world title back to the gym is what means the most to me. It's not like where it is, what sort of event it is for Cage Warriors, or where I am in the card. I don't give a fuck about any of that. It's just getting that strap, becoming a world champion. Like just for myself, like just like whenever I get this belt, I'll be proud of myself. You know what I mean? Because I know the struggles that I've had in my career and in my life, and it'll just be a really nice moment just to have this beside my name, and just knowing that no one can ever take it away from me.
Paddy, I really appreciate the time. We've one last question for you. So, like, I know we kind of looked at maybe the negative side of performances and stuff the last while at the start of the interview, but I feel like you've shown to the world already, you know, what you can do on the feet, what you can do as far as submission artists, finishing fights. You've obviously gone over and fought in tough and had a great win over Marcum there, a great fight, you know, in your second fight, and then obviously getting the win on Dana White's Contender Series. Are you looking to go out here and send a message to the UFC matchmakers with this fight?
100%, bro. 100%. I'm going out here to put on a statement, you know. This needs to be a statement of a performance. I'm not going out here to try and get dragged into a nip and tuck fight or a war, or like, I want this to be a clinic. I want everyone to be talking about how easy I made this look after. I want everyone to be talking about how close Belandi's last fights were, and how much wars there were, and how tough he looked. And then in contrast, talking about how easy that I dealt with him. And when I do that, then everyone will be on notice, you know. The promotions will come calling for me then, and it'll be at the right time, you know. Right now, I'm glad that it never happened last year. Last year, there was probably nothing I wanted more, and I did think it was the right time. But now, when I'm in this position and I'm in the shape that I'm in, I'm glad it never happened last year, because now, when I get my chance, I'll be ready. I'm the full package now. Like I said, there is no question marks in my head. There is no 1% that I'm having shortcuts on. I'm the full package, and last year was just the perfect storm to get me to this point, like I said. And I know that right now I'm a very hard man to beat.
Paddy, really appreciate the time. I am absolutely buzzing for this fight. Saturday, 21st of February in Dublin's RDS Arena. Paddy McCorry from West Belfast takes on Dario Belandi for the Cage Warriors middleweight title. Paddy, best of luck with the weight cut and all that. Enjoy your Bambino after the weight cut. It's a fantastic slice of pizza. The queues are ridiculous though. And look, everyone, they do. If you want to check out more of what Paddy's doing and the fight camp, and it sounds like you've got another couple of videos coming out. Subscribe to his YouTube channel. And Paddy, thanks for the time today. Appreciate it.
Yes, Royce. Thank you very much for the time, lads. Great to speak to you as always.
Alrighty, we're back with another great interview there. I mean, if that doesn't get you set up for Cage Warriors 200, lads, I don't know what it will. The two interviews from the two fighters from Ireland who are headlining the show. Really looking forward to Paddy McCorry's fight with Belandi too. That's really set up to be another barn burner there. You know, Paddy 2.0, dare I say, coming in, maybe 3.0.
Sounds like it. And listen, number one pick, as I said, he's leading. You know, we've got Omran Shaban, my keeper. We've got Paddy McCorry, first pick. And then you lads, you silly boys who let Solomon Simon slide to me. I mean, what fools. Andy Stevenson, 2 Cage Warriors world titles coming.
Well, look, the thing about it is that I just, you know, kind of allowed it to happen because I felt so bad for you after last year that you just, you could, you know, they're with Team O'Neill, and we prime people for success here in Team O'Neill, and we'll ship them off so that we, because I think I won I think I won way too easily last year, lad.
Okay,
I won way too easily
easy.
last year. Like, I have to give you a chance. Let's go. Let's go. All right, lads, we're not too far away from the end here. A couple of other things to chat about before we take off. Upcoming fights, obviously a big one upcoming on St. Valentine's Day. If you're not out with your missus having dinner, definitely tune into Oktagon 84, because that's where you'll see Jack Maguire take on Lucas Savicek at Oktagon 84. Obviously, you know, Jack Maguire has been a great start to his Oktagon career too. Caoilte, I mean, I think this is another big fight for him here as well. And, you know, a chance for him to get another win in his professional career.
Yeah, look, to be honest, I don't really know much about the opponent at all, but he's had a really good start. You know, he's that win against Rusal, that triangle choke after going up the weight class and everything. That one was just madness, to be honest. That entire fight, the ending, it was incredible. So, yeah, he really laid a marker there, and now he's got another one. And it's good to see that he's being kept active in there. I hope they can continue it as well. And, you know, he gets more, just not just 1 or 2 fights a year. Hopefully he can get 3, 4 if possible, and see if he can have a run at that division, because we all know he's a serious talent, has been for years, and he's always been one that's been highly touted. So Oktagon could be the place for him. It's a very Cork-themed podcast, this, isn't it?
Cork and French. Yeah, Cork and French. Yeah,
it's taking over now.
Both impossible to understand.
Both have their own language.
Yeah, exactly. You know, we talk about Jack Maguire, we talk about Brian Manning and Will Fleury being the right fit for Oktagon, but is Oktagon the right fit for Ireland? I think it is. You know, Patrick McCorry, who's been over there and does some great work, was asking the questions at the press conference after Oktagon 83 on whether there is an interest for Oktagon to come back. I think, you know, no time like the present with, you know, one of their biggest stars, Will Fleury. Andy is from Ireland. We have Jack Maguire there. We have Richie Smullen, who's competed over there too, and you know, Dennis Fimprong. You know, I could go on. We've had a couple that are already there, a couple more that could go in there too. And you know, it seems like 2026 could be the time where they're looking to pull the trigger and come over and do an event in Ireland. Like we said, we want to see these big shows in Ireland, but you know, based off you know, what was mentioned and what was said at the press conference, you know, I think the relationship that they're trying to build is to grow the audience there in Ireland first, maybe get the broadcast deal before bringing a show. I think it's the right time for this to happen. I hope it does happen in 2026. I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I think it's very positive. Like, I think my assumption is that given that Oktagon went to the UK and it didn't deliver the way that it needed to for them, I assume from a commercial perspective, and also just from, you know, the product that we're used to seeing, we see these sold out stadiums and these incredible atmospheres, and that's part of the allure and the magnificence of Oktagon and what they've been doing the past number of years. So when they're probably looking at entering a different market or a new market for them again, there's probably a bit of trepidation and a bit of hesitancy there. However, Will Fleury has done so much in the past couple of years with them that they have to come at some point, I think. And I think that, you know, when you have a double champion, it's a pretty easy sell as far as, you know, bringing people over. Now, I think they're building a great roster. Obviously, you've got Fleury, you've got Brian Manning. I know we just talked about Jack Maguire there, Smullen, Frimpong, and I'm sure they'll continue to build that out. I think what would be very interesting is to see how they might approach this, because they've had the experience of just, you know, showing up, but they did the Ireland versus England reality show, and it was kind of off the back of that they you know, went to the UK, and it just didn't really work. So what I would like to see them do is not just plop in and just expect the Irish fans to show up, because it's just been difficult, I think, over the past while. We see, you know, even on Cage Warriors 200 coming up, a phenomenal card, but a card, and this is a good thing from an Irish perspective, stacked top to bottom with Irish fighters, and that has to also be a strategy for selling tickets. So, you know, we're not in the era where you just show up and you could do a show in 3 Arena or anything like that. However, we have seen KSW come to Ireland back in 2017, where they had the Irish fighters coming, but they also targeted the local fan bases from Poland. So I think that the success of Oktagon has been driven by the markets they have been present in over the past close to, or at least half a decade now. So I think they need to tap into that. So tap into the Czech markets, the Slovak market, the German markets, etc., and bring a product that will bring fans who are, the expats who are living here to the show, in addition to the Irish fan base. So I really hope they come. I think if it's not now, and again, as you mentioned, it sounds like they're looking at, and what I've been hearing is they're coming over to meet with broadcast companies and seeing about getting their product on Irish TV, and that's a really smart and really positive step in the right direction, where maybe they get that in place first, and then they can build on that, build the awareness around Oktagon, and then bring a show to Ireland, and whether that be Dublin or Belfast or who knows. But I suppose, right now, given the roster they have, Dublin probably makes a lot of sense, especially with Fleury as their double champion. So it's interesting. I poo-pooed the idea probably 6 months ago, but I think that they're in a much better spot to be able to do that now. I just think they need to do it tactically.
Yeah, very well said there. The only thing that I would probably latch onto that and send over to you, Caoilte, is, I think timing is very important too. I think there was a time where we were getting Bellator shows and Cage Warrior shows and stuff like that, but the shows in the south of Ireland, they're happening less and less. So I think, what does that do? It builds an appetite for someone like Oktagon to come here and have, maybe one show a year or two shows a year as well. I think that there was an oversaturated market maybe in Ireland for a little while, but we shouldn't have rested on our laurels with that, really, because now we're begging for shows like this down in the south of the country, in Dublin, and obviously Belfast and the north of Ireland have a lot of shows going on too. But I think it'd be good to see shows like Oktagon come back, put on big shows in the Tree Arena again to whet the appetite to the Irish MMA fans again.
It would, and there's probably an opportunity there. I'm a bit skeptical, to be honest. I'm not that it does happen, and I'd be skeptical of the success as well. And that's no disrespect to the promotion or to any of the fighters there, but I've just from track record of, I guess, seeing what happened in the UK, didn't really fill me with much hope that they can bring, I guess, the audiences from abroad to come to these shows as well. Like, they're practically giving out tickets at some of those shows. And then even when there was a 3 Arena show in recent years, it's not exactly been the sellouts. Like, we've seen some incredible nights in the 3 Arena. So I'm not sure if, that just leaves me a bit skeptical. But there is definitely an opportunity there if they can do it right. I think it would be incredible. I think if they are to do it, once again, no disrespect to any of the fighters have, I think those are perfect people to have there. But I think you need nearly some guaranteed historical ticket sellers, like the likes of a James Gallagher, the likes of a Peter Caoilte. And like I said, no disrespect to anyone who's there, but those guys have sold those arenas before. And if you want to come here and avoid the mistakes that happened in Birmingham, Manchester, wherever the hell else they went, they need some sort of guarantee of someone with a past track or a track record that can draw in fans. I don't think you can compare it to KSW either, because KSW, those fans are like, we see Denny, for God's sake. Denny's in Ireland, he's at every show, but those fans are different. And there's a big population of people from Poland living in Ireland, so they will obviously, and they will turn up as well. I'm not sure if the same goes, or if the same fan base is there for Oktagon, despite the similarities between the promotions. So look, it's a bit of a skeptical approach from my side, but there's the reasons. In saying that, I would absolutely love it.
Very good points to bring up, Caoilte. I mean, all valid things there, and it's definitely something that it's probably why, Andy, they are approaching the situation maybe a little bit more cautiously rather than just going gung-ho, because that's what it seemed like in the UK, right? For the Birmingham show and the Newcastle show, it was a little bit gung-ho, wasn't it?
Definitely. And to your point, and you're quite right, Caoilte, it is different, because they had, it was Mariusz Pudzianowski was the main event of that, and it was a huge Polish fan base, and of course there's a huge Polish contingent. And what they did on the Irish side, it was the likes of the Norman Parks, Chris Fields, Paul Redmond, bona fide names in Irish MMA that they have competing. And I think but they do have that now with maybe not from a ticket selling perspective in Ireland, but from an Oktagon perspective with Will Fleury. He's obviously a double champion, but you've got guys like Rhys McKee who are out there right now, active fighters in free agency, looking for a home. And like you mentioned there, Caoilte, they should be trying to get the likes of James. I think James Gallagher's been teasing that, something in Japan. I would assume that's rising. That's just pure speculation. I saw he posted today, but they should be, if they're even thinking about this, looking to get the likes of James Gallagher on. And again, now, and I would also add to that, Kiefer Crosby, he gave us an interview. He said he's retired, but
looking forward to
MMA, come on, MMA fighters, show them some money and the opportunity to fight in Dublin in 3 Arena again or something like that. Like, and you mentioned Peter Queally, Paul Redmond, like make a play at some of these guys who, okay, maybe they're out of the game a bit, but it's definitely worth, blending the mix of the new talent you have, but also the names in Irish MMA, and then on top of that, trying to get, or at least attempting to get, the European fan base, maybe not to travel, but to show up for their hometown fighters, if they're living here. But yeah, it's difficult. It's a tough one it's going to be tough, but I think like they need to be creative and they need to be tactical about how they approach this.
100%. Hopefully they do make that move eventually. And I think that I guess wraps us up for episode 99 of the Owl Triangle podcast. We will be back next week. We're only taking a 1 week break. We're going to bring you a Cage Warriors 200 special over right ahead of that show. So we're really looking forward to that card. We will break that card from top to tail down on the next episode of the Owl Triangle podcast, episode 100. We got there, fellas.
100.
Yeah. Unreal. But we haven't got there yet. Hopefully we will get there unless something disastrous happens over the last couple of weeks. But I guess
we'll get there. It'll be go crack.
Yeah,
big milestone for us.
Yeah, 100%.
100 episodes, nothing to sniff
I'm very proud of it. I'm very proud to be at that milestone too, and I'm very glad to be doing with the 2EE as well. But I guess for episode 99, all is left for us to do is for Caoilte to see us out.
Gary Míle Maithugh agus Slán go fóill.